hadn't volunteered for this mission. The military draft pulled me in like it had so many others when the Xyrathian War began. Earth's colonies were burning, and humanity was desperate. I was trained quickly, handed a rifle that hummed with unstable energy, and sent to the front lines with promises that we were defending the future of our species. The truth was simpler. We were outmatched. The Xyrathians were not mindless beasts or simple conquerors. They were disciplined, ancient, and terrifyingly efficient. Their soldiers, tall, armored giants with eyes like molten silver, moved as one, their commands carried in pulses of light through the crystalline crests along their skulls. Where they marched, civilizations fell silent. I'd seen cities turn to ash under their bombardments. I'd fought in trenches carved into alien soil, watching my comrades reduced to nothing but shadows burned into stone. And now I stood captured. The battle for Arion Prime had been brief and brutal. Our forces collapsed within hours, cut down by the precision of their energy weapons. I was dragged from the rubble, hands bound, boots scraping across black glass where plasma had scarred the ground. The Xyrathian guards flanked me on both sides, their grip like iron, their armor shimmering with faint starlight. They hauled me into a vast chamber carved into the planet's surface. At its center rose a throne of living crystal, jagged and luminous, humming with a resonance I could feel in my bones. The Xyrathian warlord, taller than the rest, his crest blazing like a crown, watched from above. His expression was unreadable, cold as the void. I knew what was coming. Humans didn't survive long once captured. Executions were swift, clean, and impersonal. My knees hit the floor as the guards shoved me forward. One of them pressed a weapon against my back. Another tightened the binders around my wrists. And then everything changed. One guard shifted to pull me upright. His silver eyes flickered toward my neck, where the collar of my torn uniform had slipped. His gaze froze. Slowly he reached out, gripping the small pendant that hung against my chest. A simple piece of metal, etched with spirals that had faded with age. My grandmother had given it to me when I was a child, saying it had been passed down from before the stars. The guard's fingers trembled. His crest pulsed with a rapid, chaotic rhythm, and a guttural sound escaped his throat, a sound I had never heard from the Xyrathians before. It wasn't a battle cry. It was fear. "Where did you get this?" he rasped. His voice fractured but unmistakably shaken. The warlord leaned forward, eyes narrowing. The chamber fell silent, and for the first time since the war began, I felt the balance shift. Middle. I was dragged, not to an execution chamber, but to a sanctum. The guard who had seen my pendant spoke in urgent tones to his superiors. His words carried weight, though I couldn't understand their language fully. I caught fragments through the translation software embedded in my suit. Ancient, forbidden, covenant, return. The warlord ordered the others away. Only the guard who had recognized the pendant remained with me as I was taken deeper into the crystalline fortress. We walked through vast halls that pulsed with energy, the walls alive with streams of light that shifted and danced like constellations. The air vibrated with resonance, as though the structure itself was singing. At last, we entered a chamber unlike any I had seen, a place of worship or perhaps memory. The walls were inscribed with spirals, the same pattern carved into my pendant. I felt my breath catch. My grandmother's stories, legends of humanity's first visitors, of oaths sworn before written history, suddenly no longer seemed like myths. The guard turned to me, removing his helmet. His face was angular, sharp, with silver skin that reflected the chamber's glow. His crest dimmed to a calmer light as he pointed at the pendant. "This should not exist," he said, the translator lagging but clear. Your kind was not meant to remember. What do you mean? Asked my voice raw. He hesitated, as though the words themselves were forbidden. Long before your species rose, there was a covenant, the first accord, between my people and yours. A promise of unity, sealed with the spiral. But it was broken, forgotten, buried in silence. We were told you were lost forever. His eyes burned into mine. And yet you carry the mark. I swallowed hard. It's just a family heirloom. My grandmother said it came from before we reached the stars, but I thought it was just a story. The guard's jaw clenched. He touched the spirals carved into the wall, and the entire chamber pulsed with light. A holographic vision bloomed before us. Figures of humans and Xyrathians standing side by side. Hands joined beneath a spiral sun. Voices echoed in tones that felt older than time. Two races, one bond. Two peoples, one future. By the spiral we are bound. By betrayal we are broken. Until the mark returns. The vision faded. Silence followed. The guard turned to me. His expression unreadable. You are the mark returned. Before I could respond, the chamber doors burst open. Xyrathian soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. They had discovered my presence, and they weren't as willing to believe in ancient promises. The warlord himself entered, his crest blazing. His gaze fell on me, then on the pendant. For a long, agonizing moment, he stood unmoving. Then, in a voice that carried across the chamber, he declared, "The accord is not forgotten." His soldiers froze. Confusion rippled through them, but none dared to defy him. I realized then that this wasn't just about me. It was about the possibility of ending the war. Not through weapons but through memory. But not everyone agreed. Some Xyrathians whispered of betrayal, of weakness. Factions stirred. And soon, the fragile balance I represented would be tested. Ending. The rebellion began within hours. A faction of Xyrathian generals, unwilling to bow to a forgotten covenant, rallied their forces. They declared the warlord unfit, a traitor for sparing me. Skirmishes erupted within the fortress, crystal halls echoing with blasts of energy as Xyrathian fought Xyrathian. I was caught in the middle. The guard who had first recognized my pendant, his name I learned was Kale, stood by my side defying his own kind. "They will kill you to erase the memory," Kale warned as we ducked into a side passage, the air trembling with distant explosions. "The accord threatens everything they've built on war. But if the warlord believes," I began, "he cannot hold them alone. You must show them." We raced back to the sanctum. The spiral walls glowed brighter as though sensing the chaos. Kale pressed my pendant to the central crystal. Light erupted, flooding the chamber, spilling through the fortress like a tidal wave. Every Xyrathian in its walls froze as visions filled their minds, the same visions I had seen. Humans and Xyrathians together, oaths sworn beneath the spiral, betrayal that tore them apart. And the promise, until the mark returns. I felt the light sear through me, my blood humming with its power. The pendant wasn't just a relic. It was a key, and I was its vessel. When the vision ended, silence followed. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Even the rebels stood shaken, their resolve cracking. The warlord stepped forward, his voice low but commanding. "The mark has returned. The accord lives. The war ends now.